Well, hello and welcome everybody to our Tips from the Top call for Thursday, March 22nd. My name is Chris Whitaker and I'm one of the field development and training managers here at Via One Hope. And I'm so excited that you're joining us. We are very, very honored today to be able to have Director Charla Schaefer from Las Vegas sharing her tips today with you on host coaching. You know, they say that without bookings, you don't have a business. And so when you finally get that booking, you really want to make sure that it's going to stick. You want to make sure that when you're going to commit to that date and you're going to take time away from your family and you're going to be hopefully counting on getting your future business booked from that tasting, you want to make sure that it's going to actually happen. So there's a very important part of booking that is what we're going to talk about today, and that's host coaching. Oftentimes, this is a skill that is not, people don't follow through with it, or they just don't know how to follow through with it properly. So today you're going to be able to hear from Charla on what she does in her business to make sure that her tastings happen. And she has a thriving business. Of course, she is one of our directors. And not only that, you have to know that her time is super, super important. She is married to a great guy, Corey, that we all got to meet in Mexico. And he's lots of fun and he really likes tequila. Yeah. And she's the mother of 4 kids, ranging from 15 to 4 or 5, right?
5, yes.
5, yeah. And here's what's really cool. Their names are Cody, Caden, Chance, and Kate. And yes, they all begin with the letter C, just like Charla and Corey. So I'm so excited, you guys, to be able to present Charla Schaefer to you. Thank you so much, Charla, for joining us. And you now own the space here, and we can't wait to hear your tips.
Thank you, Chris. Chris is one of my absolute favorite people. Aww. And we're wearing the same thing today. So
we're twins.
That was really special. I do love talking about host coaching because everything Chris just said, it is so important. I use the analogy of an Instant Pot. And a lot of us have an Instant Pot, and in our busy lives, it's great to come home, throw something in it, press the button, walk away, and come back and it's done. Your host coaching your event cannot be like an Instant Pot. You need to do it like a Thanksgiving turkey and baste the turkey and season it and add, slowly cook it. And that's how you're going to treat your event to make an absolutely beautiful, successful event. Take time to get to know your host. In our back office in VAU, we do have a tutorial on host coaching and the 222, and I'm going to give you a few bits of that today, but I really also want to share with you about making your event personal, getting to know your host so that you can have the most successful event. The reason you want a host coach is because you're building that relationship with your host, letting them know that your time is valuable, but you respect their time also. You guys are going to be friends by the time this event starts. And in order to have them want to keep that date, less chance of canceling, building that relationship with them is going to make them more committed to you and showing them how committed you are to them. It's going to drive better attendance. You are going to have a much more successful event when you host coach properly and really invest into them individually. And that, again, is what we're going to talk about this morning, individualizing your event and host coaching. And when you make it easy, when you engage with them, when you become their friend, when you help them to raise money for a cause that they're so passionate about, and you are, again, investing in that, they're going to love what you do and possibly want to join you as a CEO on your team. I've had that happen before, and they just say, wow, this was fun. It was easy, it was successful, and I want to do this too. So that's kind of one of the other long-term benefits of positive host coaching. Getting to know your host, you really want to find out, first of all, what their purpose in hosting this event is for. Are they doing it to raise money for a specific cause? Really? I mean, we do that, but I will share that when I was a first-time host, Lisa said, okay, 10% or 10% goes to an organization of your choice. What do you want that to be? And I was like, what? Wait. I had to stop and I had to think and come up with something. And I decided I wanted to help a friend out. But and that was the kind of host I was. I was just helping her out to have one of her first tastings. And another host, so it might be a friend helping you out. Another host might be just really cause driven and want to raise money for a specific cause, and that's all they want to do. And they don't care, what it costs to put the event on. They just want to go all out. And you might have another host who I've done birthday celebrations. We had a birthday party and they wanted to raise money for that, but they want to get their friends together. So finding out their purpose, what is the reason that they want to have this event, is going to help lead you into how you're going to coach them and what you're going to focus on. So what type of event are you going to have? Are you going to have a traditional tasting? Are you going to have a blind tasting? Those are kind of fun. You may have a repeat hostess who has had a tasting for you a year ago, did a traditional tasting where you're all sitting around, and we do have the script for that in the back office. And that is a fabulous tool in VAU for putting on a successful event. Perhaps your host has done a regular tasting and they're inviting the same friends, so they want to switch it up. And a blind tasting is fun, where you do the pours, you talk about the causes, you focus on each bottle and the aromas, the flavors, and all of the tasting notes. Perhaps it's more of a pairing, and then you focus on the cause. And then at the end, you kind of reveal what each wine is. Or a birthday party. One of the best events I ever did was a gentleman contacted me and said, I want to raise money for this Veterans Association. I'm inviting all my friends over, and I'm asking them in lieu of birthday gifts to please buy a case of wine from you so that this organization gets the donation. And he got host pricing on wine to have a great party. So knowing their purpose, why they're doing this, is going to help lead you into a successful event. So you start with booking. You give them, we have a 2-2-2 we like to follow, giving them 2 choices. Would you like day or night? Would you like weekday or weekend? Would you, and then get down to specifics. April 6th or April 14th. If you open up your entire calendar to them, they don't think you're busy. So you want to give a little bit of that. Make your time valuable. You want them to value your time. So give them those choices. Set your date a couple weeks out. Close is always better. A, B, C, always book close. So, I've booked them 3 days out. Yes. I've booked them 3 weeks out. I've booked them 3 months out. What is the most successful? About 3 weeks. 3 days can be great because last minute, a lot of people do love last minute, but about 2 to 3 weeks, because then they have time to prepare their guests. It's not too long where somebody may put it on the calendar and then forget about it. But about that, so you're going to set your date. Then about 2 weeks out, you're going to talk about ordering their host wine. I like to give my hosts choices. We do need to offer our hosts the $99 case or $69 half case, because that's what we promote on our website. And giving them that option, that's one of the benefits of hosting a VA One Hope wine tasting. However, I do offer my hosts to purchase a case for a cause towards their event. And I've had many of them take advantage of it, because they're going to get a 10% donation on their purchase. And then they are also getting host rewards on their purchase. Some of them take advantage of that because they really want that extra 10% to go towards the organization. Another way to purchase their host wine is in the sale packs. Right now we have an amazing mixed pack. And the glitter bottle, every host wants a glitter bottle. Almost all my hostesses or hosts, part of their purpose is, I really want to get that glitter bottle at a discount. So whether it's in their host package, with the least inexpensive way is usually in their host package, or our sale right now, they get a glitter bottle, and then the 5 other wines are an amazing display for a host for a tasting. Those are perfect pouring. They could always throw in one more, but I think they could serve the glitter bottle if they don't want to keep it. But this mystery mix pack is a great way. So deciding what they want to do, you're going to get that wine ordered about 2 weeks out. And then as you get to about a week out, at about the 2 week mark to maybe 10 days, I usually suggest doing the invitation. 2 weeks on a regular invitation, and then popping in. We have them in our back office. There is ways to invite, Photify. You can create invitations. Some people do Evite. I have found the most successful way in my business. We all run our businesses differently, But in my personal business, a Facebook invitation is the best way to invite to a tasting. You can give a little teaser about what One Hope is. You don't want to give everything away because you want them excited to come to the event, but you also want them to know a little bit about what Via One Hope is, and that they are coming to raise money for this cause, that they are coming to celebrate Annie's birthday, that they are coming to, you know, support this Girl Scout troop. Whatever it is, you do want them to know. So a Facebook event is a great way for you to add your host as a co-host. You can both post on there, get people excited, and you can keep track of RSVPs. It's a great way to keep track, because you might be able to see, you know, 2 days before the event, hey, Mary, we've only got 3 people coming to your event. Let's talk about how we're going to tailor this event, what you want to serve. And she might say, wait, no, I have 5 more people that text me. So that keeps that communication open. You're not just going to do the Facebook event. You always want to still keep in phone call, text, email conversation with your host. That Facebook event is helping you to keep communication with the guests, get them to know you a little better. Then they're a little more invested. They've gotten to know you. They know your face now. You guys are Facebook friends even at this point, maybe. And they have to come to your event, because that would just be rude if they didn't. So that's what I love about the Facebook event. I also love, I'm going to talk about at the end, how the follow-up with a Facebook event. So you're going to at this also get information, which is in our back office in VAU on, you know, the 501c3. You want to make sure you get the tax ID number, all these logistics. And then maybe about 5 to 7 days before the event, you're going to want to call your host and talk about her home, the location you're having the event, and, you know, her host rewards and what is her goal, and talk about, you know, are you trying to, if it's for, she's raising money for the Labrador rescue, are we raising money to, you know, provide medical care for 5 dogs? Let's come up with a tangible goal that we can share with your guests. That's going to help increase sales. A tangible goal associated with the nonprofit is it new playground equipment for a schoolyard? What is something that we can put out there to your guests, not just, we're raising 10% for the PTA, we're raising 10% for the Labrador Foundation Rescue. Something tangible is really going to help increase your sales. So when you're talking about that, and you're talking about the tangible, what the event, at the actual event, when you're going to arrive, you're going to remind her to chill the white wines. You're going to ask her if she has ice. We forget that. Don't forget to ask your host if she has ice. You don't want to show up and not have ice. So then you're going to talk about her home. Where are we going to have this tasting? Get kind of the feel for it. Maybe she's like, I don't want everybody just sitting around and you standing up and talking. Maybe, you know, we are going to sit around my kitchen island and do it very informal. What does the host want? What does she expect? And then you can give your ideas. Well, how about if we do this to make it a little better, you know? Just a tip, a larger event. I tailor them also smaller to larger events. A smaller event, you know, 5 people or so, we're going to sit around the island and we're going to chit chat and we're going to talk about a little more intimately about each of these wines. An average event of that 10 to 12 people, I might run more like a normal tasting where, you know, we talk about something in between each taste, and, you know, moving on to about 20 to 25 people. When you're getting a tasting that is that large, I like to gather everyone around. This was the birthday party I did, for instance. As everyone arrived, they got a sample of our sparkling. They mix and mingle. However, it is a little too difficult to walk around and pour 25 tastings, because by the time you're done, you don't have any time to talk in between before person number 1 is ready for their next taste. So on an event that large, I suggest that you get up and you talk about One Hope. You give a 5-minute intro, talk about our history, what we are about. Your host is going to talk about their nonprofit and do a rundown of each of the wines they're going to taste. And I explain, this is what you're going to taste. You have a tasting sheet, and they kind of come up and they get their tastes of what they want to try. And it's just as successful that way because they are not bored. If they are sitting around a room with 20 other people waiting for you to pour their next taste, they're going to get bored. So tailor it to the amount of people, the cause, your host, get to know your host, and all those little details. So when you get to the event, you're going to do that. And I like to also remind my host that when I start the event, I am going to ask them to talk about their cause, because that's going to make it more personal. And I can get up there and tell them what we're raising money for, but when it's something close to the host's heart, that is going to make it more personal and drive up their sales, because it now has depth and meaning, and we're, raising money to provide wheelchairs for these kids, to get from A to B, or we're raising money to buy one new bike for this Special Olympics, team, whatever it is, they need to talk about it. So we have gone over making it personal with the host, and the Facebook event, keeping that personal contact at the event, how you're going to do that now at the end of the event. Host coaching does not end when you leave their home. It is actually very much still going on. You may have had 10 people who said they couldn't make it, and now is the time that you are going to get on that Facebook event, and you're really going to dive into what One Hope is about, and you're going to talk about, the details of the wine club, the details of all the wines you've tasted. Ahead of time, on a Facebook event, focus more on, before the event, you're going to focus on the cause, maybe a teaser about wine club, but you don't want to tell them all the wines you're tasting, because what if someone doesn't like Merlot and they don't come just because you're serving Merlot? Save those details till after the event. We tasted this amazing Merlot. Ask for guest engagement. Let them comment. Get other people excited. That is where you're going to get a lot of your outside orders after the event. Oh, I'm so sorry I missed the event. Can I still order? Post the ordering instructions after the event on how they can order, the goal. We're this close. We're 3 cases away from providing, 2 new tether balls for the playground, or whatever it may be. Post the goal there and how close you are. Give a 1 week. I like to give a 1 week limit on, even though in our back office, we can keep our events open for 3 weeks. I think 1 week is a really good time frame. It's not too little, not too much. If someone was out of town, they still have time to order, but it puts a little pressure on. People are still going to order at day 8. And that allows them to do so. And you've done them a really big favor by getting their order in for them at the last minute, if you've told them a week and you are still collecting orders on that 8th day. But just giving them that time limit really helps to secure those. Let your host get her check ordered for her organization sooner, and enough time to get the host rewards in, because sometimes it can take the hosts a couple days, and all those other things take a few days. So giving the guests a week to order is a good way to close it up, and following up with each of them to see who wants to book a tasting, and talking to your host about sharing how easy the event was with all of her friends. And when they see how engaged you are and this relationship that you have made with your host, how easy the party was, how much money they've raised, they are all going to want to host an event of their own. So that is my biggest tips, I think. Keeping it simple. If you have questions about host coaching or things, we're going to post this, and then we'll also have an open thread on in the community.
That's right. Charla, this has been great. I do have a couple questions for you.
Yes.
And thank you so much for anyone who doesn't know, this is actually a rebroadcast of our tips today because we had technical problems. So that's why it's just you and I right now. But I was able to be a lot more attentive when I was listening to you the second time, and I was trying to figure out what was my technical issue. I want to compliment you and tell you that, first of all, it's really great how you build that relationship with your host. And I love how you make it personal and you really find out what it's going to look like for her. I think that's a great point that you made, because everybody's different. And your tip too on how you handle large crowds and how you can tell your host how we're going to, this is how it's going to look, was a great tip. And I also love that you are creating a sense of urgency. Because if our host knows that she has 3 weeks from the time that the tasting closes or ends to actually close it out, she will take that 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So creating that sense of urgency with a week, and then that way you've got a little bit of time yourself and you're not panicking to try to get that tasting closed is a really, really good rule of thumb. I love that. Two questions. Do you ever have a hard time getting a hold of your host? Do you have any hosts that don't want to respond to your coaching? And if so, how do you handle that?
Well, we have so many different avenues to coach our host
Mhm.
these days. You know, I think about when I had my first son 15 years ago and I had my first Pampered Chef party. It was like, did we even text back then? I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe email, but really it was only phone calls. But nowadays, and with people's busy schedules, we have so many avenues to coach our host, whether it is, and I ask them that when we're setting the booking, I'm like, I ask, how would you like me to communicate with you? Is it okay to text you? Do you want to talk on the phone? Um, Facebook Messenger, what is the best thing for you so that they know, I'm not just trying to call them and they end up telling me later on, oh, you should have texted me. I ask that up front. What is the best way for me to communicate with you, so that they know? And I
Mhm.
set that ahead of time. Here's, when they set the date, we're going to be I'm going to call you and we're going to, or text you or message you, whatever they choose, email, and we're going to go over the logistics of the party. Then I'm going to get in touch with you to choose your host package or your wine for the event. And then I'm going to get in touch with you to confirm the RSVPs. So I set that up ahead of time and let them know so that they can expect that from me. Um, you know, I haven't had many issues because I set them up for that. However, if I were to, you just try a different avenue of communication with them.
Sure. Sure. That's great. Well, it's a wonderful way to, you talked about the different ways of inviting and communicating. And I think that that's super important to remember that if you set it up from the beginning, this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to be in touch with you. I'm going to partner with you. Then they feel more inclined to continue that relationship, and they're going to have that ownership in their event, which is
Right.
super important. I love how you attach the Facebook event. I think that we do have people in our lives that aren't on Facebook, and they're going to be our text messages, our mailing invitations,
Mm-hmm.
our phone calls. But the fact that you do have that Facebook event and you can really generate the excitement and have the interaction with the guests beforehand, I think can really set the tone for more success. It's an enriching experience for them. And I think it's a great insurance too. If anything should happen, I mean, sometimes whole houses get sick. There's all kinds of things that can happen, and the tasting can't happen. Then you can turn it into what you call, I think, the blind tasting, right? Which would be a virtual tasting that
Or
could
virtual, yeah.
actually, yeah, it could happen right there on the Facebook event. So that's a
Yep.
great tip that you have. Well, I know that everybody else is going to have a ton of questions for you. I think that you have touched on so many wonderful points today. And thank you again for rebroadcasting this and sharing it
Oh, of
again for
course.
everyone. And we can't wait to get that thread going so that we can get a lot of questions. And thank you again for your success. Just want to remind everybody, too, that it's super important. March 31st is going to be the deadline for you to be able to get into the early bird registration for Crush. And that gives you $200 extra in swag too. So you want to make sure you do that right away. And at Crush, we're going to have a lot more training there, and you're going to get some expert training from people out in the field. You're going to hear from people that are part of the training team here at home office. We've got a lot of great things that we're going to be sharing with you. So March 31st for that. Of course, that's also the end of the month. So you want to get that everything in and wrapped up for your goals that you're going for this month. And then I think the Mystery Mix sale is through April the 3rd. So it just switched over this past Monday, and make sure that you guys take advantage of that too. As Charla said, it's been something that's been helpful, especially with her hosts. So thank you so much, and great job,
Thank
Charla.
you.
You're
Thanks, everyone,
awesome.
for listening.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.